start us? And okay, good to go. All right, I will call this meeting to order. Start by taking roll to my right, please.
Katie Benjamin, Kriston Martin,
Sam Rosling,
Ron Goodman,
Let us know.
Rob Domas,
Ellen Johnson.
Okay, at this time, I invite any member of the audience to make a comment on any non-agenda item. Okay, we will move on to reports then. Buildings and grounds. So there was a buildings and grounds meeting, right?
Mhm.
Last month?
yeah, Sam and Rob were there, and Ellen was there.
How did it go?
It was marvelous.
It was
Great.
great. We were all there.
Good. Nothing to report?
Oh yeah.
I'll let Ron go.
Yeah, so the big issue is we're trying to figure out how to fix the bleachers before somebody falls through. And then we would have to pay for the bleacher being fixed and the person being fixed. So what we did is, in the meeting, is we talked about hiring Brent Orr to procure materials for us and kind of be our guide on this. And then in the midst of that, there's been Stanford, Montana, outside of Great Falls, is tearing down what they currently have. And so they have a whole bunch of aluminum bleachers that we could possibly get. It's going to go out to bid. So we're going to try and see if Brent can tell us, how much it's going to cost to go over and get it versus buy it. And so again, we're looking at Brent as a procurement professional to be able to give us some advice on it other than us saying, let's buy it at this unknown cost. What's the market value on it? That kind of thing. So
are they the same as the ones
there's going to
we
be,
were looking at?
yeah, there's going to be information coming out like tomorrow, I think, on this auction. So they're going to auction off a bunch of bleachers, and I think it's for it's not school it's like either city or county bleachers that they've done. That's not a bad idea. We could get something to Jane Hills Park. That'd be a shorter drive.
Yeah.
So,
Don't worry about the auction.
yeah, that's right. So again, I'm going to try and connect all those dots with Brent Orr, and because he's a professional shopper on this kind of stuff. So
You've had a conversation with him?
yep, took him out and looked at the bleachers with him. He was less than impressed with our patching.
Yeah, I bet. They are embarrassing, I will say that.
He was like, "Who did this?" I mean,
Yeah.
well, honestly, it was the last. I give credit, somebody went up there and realized it was bad, and put some plywood over the top of it. But they were pretty small pieces of plywood over. And so it's just one of those deals, and everything. Hopefully, if we can get this taken care of before we have to do anything to fix an emergency type of thing.
Did you show him the quotes from that other company?
Yes, I gave him all that.
Okay, and then he's gonna try to
Mhm.
get a lower.
Yep. And yeah, and again, he was really kind of excited about the option of buying it from.
Yeah.
He said that could be a much better deal if it works out.
Yeah, then you might only have to buy a few versus many.
Mhm. Agreed. So yeah, that's moving. I don't know how else to. It would be nice to get it earlier, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thanks for that update then. Ms. BG, sorry to put you on the spot, but was there any updates on policy?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
And I'm not asking.
Deal. Anything for technology, Andy?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Wellness and safety.
No, nothing new since the last meeting.
Calendar.
yes.
Yes.
I have some information to share with the group. Meeting with Mrs. Rose to come up with a survey information to give when we have our calendar committee meeting. And so if there's any thoughts on interesting, of course, there's not a bunch to worry about in this other than how long is Christmas, when do you start and when do you stop? And so we have like 3 events, but it becomes complicated, as we all know. So any thoughts from the board as far as information that you would want to go into those surveys?
Oh. When's she sending it out?
The survey?
Uh-huh.
Later, right now, we're just
I
gonna,
think about that.
we're gonna make the survey.
Right.
And again, that whole issue of good information helps us make good decisions. Yeah, and so I think some of the events that have always taken place in the past is spring break,
Mm-hmm.
which
I feel like we've asked that question to death, though.
I think
I feel like if we open that back up, we're just gonna get 50-50.
50/50.
50, I'm just writing it down, it's 50-50 on the teachers, and it's not 50-50 with the parents. Parents want a week of spring break, and they want it connected to
Easter.
Easter. That has been the standard for I don't know how long, so.
I guess-
Yeah,
Part of the selling point of the 176 days or 77 days or whatever, that it then makes it a simple calendar that really never has to change.
Yeah, that
That's
was.
what we thought.
yeah, hopefully it will. That it fits in there better with spring break and all the businesses, so.
I guess the only other thing that people keep bringing to me is start date, just because of the 4-H kids.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say that. I get a lot of that with 4-H kids,
Mhm.
which, really is a great thing to support.
Well,
Is that
it's
because it's in Eureka?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they always do 4-H on the last weekend in August, I think it is.
The other,
And we always start school before that, so all the kids have to miss the first week of school, essentially.
Eureka and Troy have moved their schedule so that their 4-H kids don't miss their school,
Right.
from my understanding.
Yeah, they both have.
Yeah,
Number of
especially Eureka. Yeah.
aren't nearly
But I think we're up to 30 though, I think is what the 4-H club here is now. So,
I'll get in trouble if I don't mention this. There has been people that have asked me if it's possible to start school after Labor Day and end it before Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
I just,
yeah,
that's my only comment on the calendar.
There
I
you
don't know who's recording this, but if we went Monday through Monday, if we went 7 days a week for just a few months, we'd be.
That's the only comment I've heard.
when will the survey go out? Like,
Well, I want you guys to see it. I would get it to you guys as soon as possible.
okay. Just if I have anything else pop up.
So it'll come to us before it goes out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would think, even if I just shared it with you, that would be fine. But the big issue on that is we want to get information that's going to be useful to this information here. So we just talked about.
Well, I hope we're going to stay with the number of days we now have.
Well, that's negotiated, so we have to.
But if we have the calendar finished, then we can say, okay, you voted on this, you've agreed.
Mm-hmm.
We have a leg to stand on.
Mhm.
So,
And it has to be finished way before that.
yeah, spring break is the issue. And then, of course, the desire to start late after the 4-H, the same as Troy and Eureka. Anything else from the board on you guys?
I can think of.
Aren't we pretty far off of that?
We start that,
3 days?
I think that day 4-H starts up in Eureka is our first day.
Mm,
Mhm.
Cause it's like a Wednesday, if I remember right, Jim, do you know, it's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4-H, and we start that Wednesday.
The hot topic this year is it started earlier than ever. Like the 15th of August, teachers reported. So that was even negotiated, to start the third week for PIRs. Like you sound like, then that can move when you start. I think it was pretty easy to fix starting at like that Thursday, Friday. It would still be the Thursday, Friday before Memorial Day.
It would just push us a little bit further into June. There would just be no if.
And then even, there was,
no
because the way
possibility.
the calendar was, it was only one day. So you still finished June 5th, that
Yeah.
first week.
So it would put us ending on like a Thursday of the second week in June instead of that first week in June or whatever it typically ends up, but.
What's the feedback on conferences during Thanksgiving week?
we were just going to talk about that in the morning.
I'm curious.
I thought it was a good turnout last year. Was it not the same this year?
It is, but it's so late.
Too far.
Like many of the teachers feel that it would be more beneficial to have it earlier. I mean, we're well into second quarter.
That's the
Why?
comments I keep hearing.
Yeah, and so if it's feasible to look at alternatives to that.
I agree.
Mhm.
The other, not, I don't know if it's a complaint, it is having it connected to the whole rest of the week off,
Mhm.
Monday, Tuesday, and then nothing.
I
think a
wonder
lot of-
about that.
I think my guess is attendance would have been higher if it wasn't connected to.
A holiday.
Yeah.
So
Woo-hoo, we can make
had,
good
you had good
7-day
attendance,
weekend.
but you didn't? Is that what it was?
Well, we pack our 7th and 8th, impact one. Our conversation at the end is get it off that Thanksgiving weekend, go earlier, which the elementary agrees with. And then you could actually do it in a day and a half versus 2 full days. And that's still contractually, they get their day to do it. 2 days was a choice we made because of,
We've done it that way before.
yeah. And that's, we'll talk tomorrow, that's, our teachers would really like that.
A day and a half. The only issue I can see is I feel like when I went to sign up, I mean, you could do it in a day and a half, but I feel like it'd have to be 2 evenings because there was very limited amount of times by the time I signed up. And I wasn't late in signing up, but those evening after work spots are gonna fill up fast. So I can see the staff wanting earlier, but from a parent point of view, that might be.
What was your schedule like, Miss Kidwell? Pretty full?
On the first day, it was heavier than day 2. There was few folks that signed up that didn't show, but that wasn't the norm. I mean, it was pretty steady flow of folks from 11 to 7.
Would a day and a half, would 2 days be too much for 1.5?
I don't know, I have a survey coming from my staff to share tomorrow morning, and
Sure.
I haven't looked
Okay,
at all of their
perfect.
feedback yet.
Yep.
But I told them I want your voice, we'll share your voice at our meeting in the morning, so,
As long as we like it.
yeah. Well, some days you probably question that, but
I do agree with you, the evenings are better. So we want the best of both worlds.
Right.
Team meetings are very popular. Go in one TV, all of them there. So in our world, we can just change the structure of it, have more of a, like the old gong show, pop in the evening, see everybody on the first day, and then do the team meetings for those that can't make it the next day. Because our 7th and 8th are packed, the high school's not. Optics for high school is the quickest, best way to get more attendance, but you get it off the hall Thanksgiving week, we'll get more turnout
Mhm.
with that one move.
I know our teachers do tend to favor the full day.
Yeah,
Full
do
days.
one full day.
Well, they like the
It's 2
time.
full days on the contract. you know. It's negotiated for 2 days.
We would just during the day.
I haven't read that part of that, but, okay, so it'll be interesting to hear how you guys' meeting goes tomorrow then. Any other thoughts on the calendar before we move on?
No, so 176 days, start date was an issue for 4-H in August. And then parent-teacher conferences earlier. Yeah,
Is the feeling of the board, you want a spring break, just you guys?
I
love
hear
spring
a
break.
lot from a lot of parents, they want spring break. I mean,
Are you talking about like the full week?
Spring break versus a 5-day, like a Thursday, Friday, Monday for Easter. Not 5 full days off. That's
I like the whole week.
like what?
I like the whole week. We usually go somewhere.
Yep, me too.
mhm.
When my kids were in school, we preferred the whole week.
and again, I think for 20 years, it's been a 50-50 split with the teachers, but it's like 65-75% on the parent side. So what do you do? When it's a draw with the teachers, and
Deal with the parents.
then we for many years, we would go back and forth and say, okay, we're going to do 1 week, on odd years, and then people
Oh, that
really
had to
hated,
be.
they really hated that. And the feedback that we got on that was the parents who had parenting plans
Mhm.
alternate, well,
Yes.
that's really hard. And so,
Mine was, we didn't care for spring break because we weren't a spring break family. I would have preferred to get out earlier, have a longer summer. We did our vacations in the summer.
I prefer both.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was just me
Yeah.
personally. I'd prefer kids to stay in school the whole time, but
You're never getting out.
yeah,
Yeah,
I gotta work, they gotta go to school.
that
What
was,
it is.
that was a prevalent belief in Circle, but they wanted everybody, they would start as late as possible and get back in the tractors, so.
Okay, so we will move on then. Anything from transportation?
Nope.
Okay. Anything from insurance?
Leslie,
Nothing.
I love it. I can just turn it over to my secretary.
Okay, so then moving on, it does not look like we have anything in resignation, retirement, reduction of force, non-renewal, or staff contracts or transfers. So we will move on to Monday's agenda. I can get to it. Got it. There we go. Looks like we will be setting our January meetings for the 6th and 13th, which is so weird already.
Yes, it is.
Some consideration of November's minutes. It's pretty basic right now.
Mhm.
CPI certification standard, what is that?
That's how to deal with students when they're out of control.
Okay.
And so,
Is that something we typically do, have to get certified?
yeah, so Scott has I could be wrong on this, but Scott has a basic, we have to, how many years that it takes. So when you get certified, we basically have to set a standard, how many years can you go without being trained again in Kung Fu? And so that's, Scott, I think it's, I want to say, what are they doing now? One or 2 years?
So it's usually you have the full blown in 1 year and you can do a refresher the following.
Yeah. And the standard is we get to set that, whatever we say it is. And so some people might, if they're going to be dealing with high impact kid more annual, yeah.
So that is set by the school.
Yeah. And
So
yep,
that'll be something you'll present to
Yep.
us essentially?
Scott's going to present
Scott?
that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, any other questions, comments, additions?
One thing we probably need to do, and I kind of feel pretty plucky about catching this, but we have some out of state travel that we need to approve. And so
Or
Idaho, what's that?
is it?
I think there's also an activities, there's a sports event too, isn't there?
They added wrestling.
Thing?
But why did we add wrestling? Do you know? Or we're adding things?
Well, to be honest, that was always one of those, if it's spawners or within certain mileage, they didn't do it all my years, so.
Right.
I guess the only one, the out of state you'd have would be Rocky and Coeur d'Alene. And, no, not Rockies in Missoula, the wrestling champions in Coeur d'Alene.
I guess Nick, Jim, do you know why Nick added another trip? Do we know why?
It's not added, it's the
I
same.
think one of them is a music event.
Yeah, the band usually goes to Seattle 1 year or
Yeah.
Canada the next year, so. That's the one I assume is
Oh.
you're getting it moved on.
So I imagine we probably put that in the new business under the consideration of out of state travel.
Okay.
If you want all of the sports like honors, are you wanting those?
No, I don't think
have to
that,
have them.
do we have to?
Yeah, the
Okay. I
policy-
don't think we've done that before, but it must
Yeah,
be.
but
The
that's-
policy clearly states any out of state travel.
Okay,
So yes, we
then
will need to
we'll
approve
throw
all of
that. There'll be like 3 games. Yeah.
Can we just do everything
Give
you
the
know?
Schedule and put them all together.
And then,
Yeah.
And then give
the
it
DC
to-
trip as well?
Oh,
Close up.
That's not a school related event.
That's separate.
Yeah, that's an outside, that's a close-up related. They choose to do that.
How's that not school related?
We don't pay.
Close-up's a different entity completely.
Are we paying for a teacher to go?
We've given them a sub-pay for sponsoring that.
Well, my recommendation would be we should approve it anyways, just in case. What's harmful if we don't? Versus what could happen if we don't approve it and something happens to a kid?
That's a good call.
they're not even leaving, they're not going into another state though. It's a District of
Flying
Columbia.
overwatch.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I mean,
I think that's a great idea, actually.
just add it.
Out-of-state travel, we're. Okay, it's a close up.
Okay, anything else? Okay,
Mark will be sending you guys a.
We just got it.
we did, haven't read it
I
yet,
just got
but
it. I wasn't looking at my phone in here, but I just. got
Curious.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he changed the wrestling one and added the basketball one.
okay, so then I just need a motion to adjourn,
I
please.
so move.
Second.
I have a motion by BJ and a second by Ellen to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Okay,